Greetings everyone, thought I'd bring you a video today. Just got the new Fractal FM3 in the mail, and I've had a bit of time to dive in and explore the capabilities of this device. First off, may I say, this is one of the most impressive compact floor units I have ever played through. I'm an amp guy. If those of you who know me know I like carrying around my big amps and my big combos and cabs, and I've just always been accustomed to the way that sounds and the comfort that comes with that. But this is the first device that I feel like I can still play confidently and feel like I'm at home, even if there's not big, nasty combo amps backstage or behind me on stage. So thought I'd dive in a bit today. This is not a tutorial. This is not an in-depth review. This is more of just showing you how I am utilizing this architecture and this platform to meet my needs for a normal stage show or recording in the studio here. So I guess we'll jump over to the control software first. So here we are inside of the control software. It's called FM3 Edit. You'll see this grid, first of all. Each of these blocks can house a processing block. You can drop in any of these blocks on any of these blocks on the grid. So you would set this up the same way you would set up a normal pedal board system. These input blocks do correspond to physical inputs on the device, so I can say input 1 or input 2. I have my guitar plugged into input 1, so we're gonna go input 1 here. I've got a drive set up that goes into the amp block, to the cab block, through the enhancer block. I've got a chorus, I've got a couple of delays, a couple of reverbs. And then, same as the physical input block, we have physical output blocks. In this particular preset, I have both of the outputs assigned here. And it's pretty much the exact same thing going out both. I do that because when I'm recording here in the studio, I use the 1/4 inch outputs, which are output 2, and I use the XLR outputs when I play live on stage, so that's going to be output 1. Same general output levels, just loud and proud, and enough for a sound guy to work with. I'll give you a sort of overall overhead view of the software here. I'm not going to get too deep, but the top level is presets. You see I've named a preset Matheny here. And then underneath your presets, you have 8 scenes, which can live within a preset. I'm currently utilizing 4 of the scenes. Kind of the way this works is within a preset, you set up your processing blocks here, and those, or at least the layouts of those, will not change from scene to scene. With your scenes, what you're doing is you can toggle on and off different blocks. Each of these processing blocks has 4 channels here, which you can see under channel A, B, C, and D. And what's important to note about the channels is within my drive block, I can have 4 completely separate drive pedals that correspond to these different channels. And say when I go from scene 1 to scene 2, I could choose to completely switch to a different drive pedal. Just because there's a single drive pedal block in the grid here does not mean you're limited to just a single drive sound. So that's an important note. Same with amps, cabs, same kind of architecture across. We have 4 different channels with any kind of block. So very, very powerful system here. Possibilities are truly limited to your imagination. I mean, the kind of stuff you can do in here is crazy. And this is a relatively big setup, but the possibilities with signal flow here are truly limited to your imagination. I've found that this is what works best for me. On my old pedal board, I had a couple of delay sounds, a couple of reverb sounds, chorus. I'm kind of mirroring what I had on a physical pedal board, just in the software here. I hope all that makes sense, but that's kind of the general layout here. Within this single preset, I have 4 scenes that I've worked up. The first of which is my favorite. The JTM45 model in here is absolutely unreal. I've never played a digital amp model that sounds so lifelike and so rich. Really impressed by this. Number 2 is kind of a Van Halen sound. Number 3 is a Friedman amp model. And then number 4 is a John Petrucci JP2C kind of lead sound. I'll walk you through each of these scenes and see if we can't get some good sounds going here. All right, so I'm playing through the Sozo R7 guitar here. This is a semi-hollow body and one of my favorite guitars to play. Beautiful, beautiful instrument. This is the JTM45 Patch, and I'm going to start with the drive pedal off and the internal amp boost off. This is the bridge pickup. Already really nice sound from this JTM model. In the middle position on this particular guitar, if I stay kind of reserved with my picking hand, I maintain a lot of the clarity and I don't get that compression. Really nice, sparkly, open sound from that model. But when I switch over to the bridge and kind of dig in, you get that nice breakup that we all love. So now I'm going to switch to the internal amp boost. And if you look in the software here, that is under amp, go under preamp, and then we have this boost here. They call it an input boost inside the software here. Currently have it set to the neutral, which is essentially just a volume boost going into the circuit, and this is set around 4 dB of boost. So here is that sound. Staying on the bridge pickup for now. So really kind of opens up more of that breakup when I dig into the strings a bit. That is a killer sound to me. Almost getting into the AC/DC kind of... Might need a little bit more gain for that, but you get the idea. Love that sound. So good. So you'll notice, I'll kind of walk you through how I've set up my foot controller here. People look at this thing and they say, Dylan, there's only 3 buttons. How do you get anything done? Well, keep in mind that each of these buttons has 2 functions. You can tap it for one function, or you can hold it for a different function. So my first switch here just cycles through my 4 scenes. So I hit the button once, and you'll see I switch down to scene 2, scene 3, scene 4, and then I have it set up to just go back to the top with another foot tap. If I hold foot controller 1, I go to the tuner, and I have the tuner set up to mute the output when the tuner is engaged. And then I hold it again to go back to the scene view. Preset 2 is my drives. A single tap turns on the drive pedal, which corresponds to the drive block you see in the grid here. If I hold this down, it engages the input boost on the amp, which is the sound I just showed you. Foot Controller 3 here also does two effects. A single tap, I have my ambient Plex delay, kind of a big, washy ambient reverb sound. I'll play a bit of that for you. Just a beautiful, beautiful decay on that reverb. And it's technically a delay. The block inside the software here is called Plex delay, and I'm using the Plex delay type under type here. So really like that block. So that's a single tap. A hold in here engages the chorus, which I think is a beautiful chorus block. This is the digital stereo chorus type. So here's that clean tone from the JTM45 with the digital stereo chorus engaged. This is the middle position on the guitar. Beautiful stereo chorus, nice imaging there. When I use chorus pedals, I'm not looking for a super obvious chorus. I almost want it to be something that just gives me some width. I almost don't want to hear it. I just want that kind of swimmy feeling. I talk about a lot in audio things that you hear and then things that you feel more than you hear. And chorus for me is something like that, where I'm not looking for this big washy effect. I'm looking for more of a subtle thing. And this hits the nail on the head. Got all the Def Leppard sounds. So, excellent job, Fractal. Nailed that chorus sound. If you add the Plex delay along with the chorus, it's just the icing on the cake. So great sounds from the JTM45. I have my foot controllers set where they keep the same functions from scene to scene. So when I switch over to the Halen, which, you know, you guessed it. So in the Halen patch here, this is the Britt Brown amp, and you'll see that I have this in channel B. I just have it 1, 2, 3, 4 scenes correspond to channels A, B, C, D on the amp here. So Britt Brown, pretty cool. I mean, that's the Brown sound, that big. So obviously that dimed Marshall. Pretty cool sound. I'm not going to go too deep on the cabs here. There's literally thousands of cab models in here, and I've just kind of landed on some that correspond well to the preset. So scene number 3 is the Friedman Patch. Another Marshall-y kind of sound. This is a great rock rhythm patch. If you're not looking for all that gushy saturation, and I'll show you some of that with the JP scene, which number 4, but... Stack a little drive on there. Really cool sound. Moving on to number 4, I'm going to switch guitars for this one for obvious reasons. So that's the JP patch. I essentially copied and pasted most of those block parameters from the Petrucci rig preset inside of the Fractal software. It made a few minor tweaks, but if you're looking for that soaring lead tone that he's known for, that is the way to go. I mean, really impressed by the realism from that kind of patch. Sometimes when you get into the higher gain stuff, things start to fall apart in the modeling world, but Fractal nailed it with these models. I'm really impressed. So yeah, that's kind of a quick overview of how I'm utilizing this software to fit my needs. I have so much more work to do with this thing just to utilize the full potential of all these effects. I'd like to have a few more presets on deck for recording and some really specific live show moments. Really impressed with this platform so far, and man, thanks Fractal for knocking it out of the park. You have solved a big problem for me, not having to lug amps around anymore. So I've been Dylan Matheny. Thanks for tuning in, and pick up an FM3. Try one for yourself. I have not played models that sounded so realistic up to this point. So if that's what you're looking for, this is where to find it. So rock on.